Manishri Acharya. Welcome to Zenonco.io and Love Heals Cancer. As you know, we do cancer healing journey sessions in which we tell your journey as a survivor or caregiver to the world so that people who are still fighting this battle can get some inspiration and motivation from it. It's a pleasure to host you today. So, how are you doing?
I'm doing fine, Ritika, and thank you for hosting me today because it's an opportunity for me to tell others that everyone goes through a particular journey and they come out of it differently. So it's a very
Yes.
good opportunity.
Definitely. Thank you for doing this with us. And why don't you just go ahead and tell us about your symptoms and how was the diagnosis?
Yeah. So actually, this was in the I had primary CNS lymphoma, which is some kind of a blood cancer in the brain, and it was about 3.5 years ago. September 2017 is when I was diagnosed with it, and actually I did not realize it at all. I was just doing some things, and then my family, they realized that there was something wrong with me, because I used to forget wherever I was supposed to go. So I used to forget the name of that place, or when I was walking, or when I was actually doing my 8 walk. My husband, you noticed that I was walking a little bit to the right hand side, like right leg I was dragging. So he just noticed these symptoms. And then we said, okay, we will go to a doctor and see what they have to say. So when we went to the doctor, she suggested an MRI so that we will know if there is anything wrong. And the brain MRI was done, and there we discovered that I had primary CNS lymphoma. So they immediately that was a Sunday that we went. So the next day, that was a Monday, the guy who had done the primary CNS lymphoma, that is, I'm sorry, the guy who had done the scan, the MRI scan, he immediately showed it to my husband, saying that there's something wrong here, and then they did a contrast scan so that it will be more clearer where the problem was and what the problem was. And once they did the contrast scan, they were sure that there was a tumor or something grown there. And it was that pushed my mid brain a little bit to the side, about 0.07 centimeters, I think. So then we started talking to people. We started meeting doctors. So I met one doctor here nearby, neurologist, and he said that if we don't do a immediate biopsy and all that, I had just hardly maybe 1 week to live. So that is a time frame that he had given me. And then we immediately went to Sakra World Hospital, and there we met Dr. Swaroop Gopal. So he also suggested that we have to do a biopsy immediately, and she has to get under treatment. So because we had gone there, where my husband did not want us to come back home, take a decision. So he said, okay, we'll just going ahead with the treatment, and we will just get you started on the treatment. So that was about 2 days after I had got my first scan. So they started the treatment. So it was like biopsy was done, a brain biopsy was done, and they started me on some steroids or whatever. I was not really in a position to respond too much because I don't remember some of the things that happened during that time. But I know that this is the way we went about. And they started the treatment. They started me on steroids, and they started the biopsy. They found that it was malignant, and then they immediately they said that we'll start you on chemotherapy. So I think the next week, the after the biopsy was done, then I started my chemotherapy from September 17th, September 18th, I think. Started chemotherapy, and I was given 6 sessions of chemotherapy, like 1 month in. No, we have about 3 weeks or so gap. So till November 26th, December 10th or something, I was given chemotherapy. So my son is a doctor. My elder son is a doctor. So he immediately, as soon as we found out that I had a problem, he came down and he was with me all through. Making sure that I was taken care of, giving me the injections. So because after I came back from the chemotherapy, I had to be given injections for 3 days straight, leucovorin injections. So he was there to take care of me, and that was when I really realized, what a wonderful family I have, who were all taking care of me. because I wasn't able to take care of anything. So they were all taking care of me. My sister-in-law came down from Indore. My sister, everybody was kind of there with me, and they made sure that I was not feeling uncomfortable for anything. And during the chemotherapy treatment, I was not sleeping very well. In fact, from the second month of chemotherapy, I was almost not sleeping through the night at all. I used to sleep 1 or 2 hours in the morning, but through the night I was almost awake, and I could not sleep. That was the only side effect that I had of chemotherapy. I did not have any other side effects. One time nausea and not sleeping at all. So those are the only two major side effects that I had. But not sleeping at all was a little uncomfortable because I did not know what to do. Don't sleep through the morning, then it's fine. You can do lots of things. If you don't sleep through the night and you can't even come around and do things at home, it feels a little boring. So that was the only thing that I felt. I did not have any other symptoms because during I no headaches, nothing else. So that I think I'm very lucky in that. And also my I was a I'm a professional sound ball healer. So I had taken a lot of sound ball sessions earlier. And then my sound ball teacher, Gurudi, she was also giving me some remote healing sessions and all that. So that is the reason I think I did not really feel any major side effects at all. And so that was a journey until December 2017. I was going through all this chemotherapy, and then we did one scan, and the scan showed up that there was no the lesion had vanished and there was no fresh lesion. So that is when I got into remission. And I also after that December 25th, I started taking Ayurvedic medicine also because there was this cancer healer from Shimoga. So he was giving Ayurvedic medicine. So after my chemotherapy was over, I started taking that Ayurvedic medicine for about 10 months. And then he told, it's okay if you stop now. So I stopped it after 10 months. So that was that was not the whole journey, but yes, more or less, this is what I underwent.
What were the Ayurvedic medicines for?
That was also for healing cancer only, but I took it as a post chemotherapy, also to not get any lesions or not get any fresh cancer, because so that's the reason I was taking the Ayurvedic medicine.
Okay, I want to ask that when you got to know for the first time that you only have 1 week to live and it can go either way. So, what was your reaction at that time?
Actually, I did not know. He told my husband, and my husband knew that that is what he's told him. I did not know that until where I fully became okay, and the kids, my son told me, younger son told me that this is what the doctor had told daddy, and so he was very worried because my husband was very worried. He would, so we
So, he
just
did
had
not
to take
tell you at
immediate
that time.
decisions. Yeah, we
So,
had to
that's
take immediate decisions. I'm sorry. Yeah.
no, no, it's fine. You can say.
So, we had to take immediate decisions. We could not afford to spend extra time doing nothing. So, that was how we started and ended also. And I've been in remission for about 3.5 years now. So, that's a good thing.
This is a very hard journey for anybody.
Yeah.
So, how did you manage your mental and emotional health during all this?
Actually speaking, I had cancer, yes, but then I never felt that I had cancer. And that is, I feel, my biggest strength. Because if I feel I have cancer, then I will go into the cancer and the cancer will come into me. But I never felt that I had cancer. And I was just, I was smiling, and it was a odd smile, I believe. I don't know. But I was smiling all through. And I just went through the journey without thinking about it, without giving it any importance. And that is one big strength I feel, because because of that, I really did not feel that I was having any problem. No, that I feel is the biggest strength, because many times when we get into the cancer, like we let the cancer get to us, that is when we have the biggest problem in overcoming it.
No,
But when
that's
I
very
yeah,
true.
So then when I felt that, I felt that I did not have any cancer. Although I knew I had cancer, I, as a person, physically I had cancer, but mentally and emotionally, I did not succumb to that at all. And so that's why I was always smiling. I used to talk to everyone. Everybody used to tell me, "You go take rest," but no, I never felt that. I never felt that I had to go and take a rest. Or the only thing, I wasn't doing anything much around the house because everybody else was managing it. But yeah, that is all. That was one of the biggest strengths, I can say. And I feel that everyone has to understand that part of oneself, because if you can get out of the cancer, from even when you're undergoing it, you're just undergoing it like a journey and not as the thing. That is when you can actually come out of it also equally well.
So what I can hear is that you have a very loving family. So
Yes.
who was your caregiver at that time? Your husband and your son?
Husband, my son, my sister-in-law.
A lot of people.
Yeah, a lot of
Uh,
people.
so there must be some cherished moments which you had during that time. So can you share any one of them?
Yeah, actually, I don't remember much about what was happening during that time. But one of the cherished moments was when my sister-in-law, she was giving me the food and whatever, and so she used to sit with me and she used to talk to me. That I remember very well. And my husband was very tense because he was he did not know what was happening with me, because I wasn't able to share anything with them. I was not able to tell them anything. I was living life normally the way I do, without talking about that part. So he was a little worried. And then when I became a little normal, I told him that that whatever he did was something truly amazing, and I could not have really got through all of what I got through without his help. So those are some of the cherished moments.
That's very beautiful. I would like to know that you said that you were not sharing anything. So is it like that you bottled everything inside or you did
No,
not just feel it?
I did not feel it.
You-
I have nothing bottled inside me.
No,
I
no,
just
at
felt,
that time I'm
yeah.
asking.
No, even when that time I had nothing bottled inside me. One was, it was a brain cancer, the cancer in the brain. So I was not able to register some of the things that were happening. So they were just happening and they were just flowing out. It was like a flow. So I was just going with the flow. So that's the reason, I did not really have um, much of conversations or anything about it. It was not that I was bottling it up. It was just that I was going with the flow. So, and in fact, I'm a pharmaceutical quality consultant. I work with pharmaceutical companies. But when I was going through my chemotherapy, I did not even look at what they were giving me. My, yeah, elder son was there and he was checking whatever they were giving me, and he was ensuring that they were giving the right medicine and all that. But I never looked at it. So I did not even see what they were giving me. After my cure and all that, I just picked up and saw what were the medicines that I had given. But during that time, no, I did not do any of that.
What were the lifestyle changes which you made after this?
Lifestyle changes, not nothing major, except during the Ayurvedic medicine, I was supposed to give up eating a lot of things. So I had given that up. I had to give up eating cabbage, brinjal, green chilies, eggs. So I had given that up. Otherwise, major lifestyle changes, not much. Not much of a change that I had to do. I was following my earlier lifestyle only. Only thing is, one major thing that I realized during that time was that I had to ensure that whatever I had, whatever I had to make a will. You never know what will happen to you. So I had to write down a will. So whatever I little I had, I have to ensure that I hand it over properly so that I don't need to worry about it. That was one thing which I really, really realized. Because many times we always feel others should make a will, but I'll be there forever. There's no need for me to write a will, that kind of a thing. But then I realized that we have to always have our will ready, and we have to always live in the present. Just have to live day by day, and we have to ensure that we get through today, so that tomorrow is there. It'll come or it may not come. We don't know. But let us get through today as effectively as possible and as much as possible. So that was something that I really realized in my lifestyle. And also, I started eating lesser. I don't know whether it's a positive or a negative. But I've started eating lesser, because otherwise you might not know me. But I was always a major eater. I used to eat everything that was given to me, except, I don't eat non-veg, and I don't eat, I used to eat eggs, but I don't eat eggs now. So I used to eat everything. And after that, if you give me, when I'm full, if you give me something, I would still be able to eat it. That was the way I was eating earlier. But then I don't know, I just reduced my portions. I reduced my talking, because I did not want to talk to anybody and everybody. I just felt like, no, I don't want to talk. And so that's something. I reduce my talking. So those are the reducing of talking. Sometimes when can be misconstrued as you don't like me or you don't want to talk to me, but I don't know, I've just reduced talking. That's all.
And that's completely okay because going through this journey, as I told you, is hard. So it changes a lot of things in you.
Yeah.
These are like minor changes. Whatever makes you happy, just go with it.
Yeah. And the third thing that has happened is my right hand doesn't work very well. I've got a dystonia kind of a thing. Can you see that?
Yeah, I can see it. What, like, there's some, it's
These two
like,
fingers,
yeah.
they don't work very well.
Okay,
I
so how
cannot
do you
again.
manage it?
I'm managing like that only. Like I'm taking some medication now for the dystonia, but these two fingers work very well. These two work very well. So I just use my left hand to open up these fingers and do my work. So that I'm able to do everything, cooking, cleaning, everything I'm able to do. Only thing
Being
is
a
this hand is
righty,
not. Writing is a big problem. I cannot write very well. My handwriting is gone very bad. It used to be very good before. From that, it has gone really bad. Those are the only. This is a kind of a permanent feature now. Although it is better now because I'm taking medication. Otherwise, this finger used to be like this.
so like, is this a side effect of chemotherapy or something?
I don't think it's a side effect of the chemotherapy. It's because some parts of the brain, there are still some places where neurons have not grown back. So because of that, that's the effect of the gliosis in the brain. I think that's what my neurologist also thinks. So he's giving me some treatment for the dystonia. This is called dystonia when this finger is bent like this. It's called dystonia. So he's giving me some treatment and it is kind of working.
I hope you get well soon of this because I cannot imagine not using my right hand because
Yeah.
even I am a righty. So how will I write from this? How will I eat?
So
Because
eating and writing, yeah, that's what writing is horrible, I know. But eating, I'm managing somehow. I drop a lot when I'm eating, but it drops out of the plate. But that's okay. Those are all small things when compared to what I went through. So
no, that's very true. Because cancer is the hardest thing a person goes through, and after that, everything seems so small and so easy.
yeah.
So that is very true. Okay, Vanishri, can you please tell me that what kind of things that people should expect when they have this type of cancer?
So one thing is, yeah, you like I can only talk from what I had got. So that's the reason I will not be talking about any other person's experience. But my experience was that one thing you have to be from a physical standpoint, you will go through a lot. You will have pain, you might have pain, you might have to take a lot of injections, you might have to go through a lot of treatment. So during that time, one thing you have to always remember is to think positive. It is difficult. It is very difficult to think positive, but you have to have at least somebody who can keep telling you positive things, so that you can always look at the bright side. There may be no bright side that you can look at, but still you can look at the bright side. That is how I actually encountered my cancer. So that is one thing which I can advise. And secondly, yeah, some of the things may still remain after the cancer. So you just have to take it one at a time, and think of that day only. Think that you have to survive through today. Whether there's a tomorrow or not, we don't know. But today I'm going to manage whatever is going to happen. Only today. So just live day by day so that whatever is there, it is confined to that day and it is not really, you're not going to start thinking of anything beyond that. So that is what I would like to advise. And another thing which I would like to advise is that, when you're going through, you may have people to help you, may not have people to help you. Either way, you just have to say, okay, I'm going through this and I'm going to get past this. If only if you tell yourself that you're going to get past it, are you going to have the strength and the energy to be able to manage. Otherwise, it's very difficult to, yeah, I can understand. Many people are undergoing a lot of different types of pains, and it is maybe difficult for them to think of anything positive or think of anything that will benefit them. But you have to keep on attempting that. And that is what I would like to share.
Okay, that's a very positive advice, I should say. Uh, See, gratitude during all this time, gratitude is something that people learn or should have. So, what are the some things which you're grateful for, which happened during your journey?
I'm grateful for the family, the love that I got from my family. I'm surely grateful for that. I'm grateful for being able to think that positive mentality, have that positive mentality. I'm grateful for my Guruji who gave me the sound healing. During that time, she was not able to talk to me at all. She was speaking to my husband all through because I was kind of, my phone was not with me, it was with my kids. So they used to handle the phone. So I am very grateful for my Guruji for giving me the sound healing. And I'm also grateful for all the things that I got. And at that time, like we took quick decisions and I did not go against any decision that was taken to heal me. So that way, I'm very grateful for myself, being open to whatever was happening, and being open to and being able to take whatever was happening. Because I used to have the cannula in my hand, for 3-4 days continuously because my son was giving me the injections. I was supposed to take the leucovorin injections every 6 hours. I was supposed to take it, and so the cannula once infant, then a cannula came off. It moved and it was out of the vein, and we had to go and get it changed and come back. So all of that, there were lots of things that were happening, but I was happy. I was actually very grateful for having all those people, my people around me, and them giving me the positive attitude. So those are the things I'm truly grateful for.
I want to know what is that song healing thing? I have
Sound,
not heard about it. Song healing, which you talked about.
sound healing. So there
Sound
are
healing, yeah.
yeah, there are Tibetan bowls. So it is brought directly from Nepal. So those were here. There are healing bowls, and I had learned professional sound bowl healing from Guruji before, from Sujata Guruji. So Sujata Singhi is one of the persons. She's the main person who is promoting this sound bowl healing. So there are like 7 bowls which are there for the 7 chakras. So the chakra bowls, and then there is the reproductive organs over that is a bowl. So that bowl healing is when you hit that bowl. You've seen the previous in sound bowls, right? I can actually show you right now.
If you want, you can show it to me.
Yeah, just give me a moment. I'll bring the bowl.
Yeah, yeah.
Feeling bowl.
So it makes that sound and it heals you.
So yeah, there are 7 bowls for the chakras, and then this is the self-healing bowl, which is a single bowl. And so when you hit it, can you hear the sound?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is the single self-healing bowl which I use, as well as the 7 chakra balls. So the 7 chakra bowls for each chakra, that is the crown chakra, there's a different bowl. For the Ajna chakra, there's a different bowl. Throat is a different bowl. So like that, all the 7 chakras have 7 bowls. And there are different types of therapies that are available. So we usually do a aura cleansing and a brainwave therapy. So that's how, by using that sound, and I was trained in 2015 by Guruji. So from 2015, I've been using these bowls. I've been giving people treatments because I'm a professional sound bowl healer too. So I was able to become a channel for many people and give them treatments. So because I had sound in me, I felt that that was one of the very biggest advantages that I could have to not in order to move forward. And so Gurudi is actually, she keeps conducting sessions now because of the lockdown. We have Zoom sessions. Earlier we used to have a physical session, but now we have Zoom sessions where she conducts the trainings for all of this, or she just conducts a meditation, or no, she just we perform a meditation together. So that way I'm continuously in touch with sound.
This is beautiful. I would like to try it someday.
Sure. Since you're in Mumbai, right?
No, no, I am in Jaipur.
Oh, you're in Jaipur. But
Yeah.
anyway, if there is any next time there is a session, and they usually conducts free sessions as well as paid sessions. So next time there's a session, I'll just message you, and if you are interested, you can.
Yeah, please
You
send
can
me,
join.
like I would like to try it, like how it goes and how if it works for me or not. So
Yeah,
I
you
would like
can
to try it. Okay,
really attend.
I just have like one last thing to ask that no, like what would you like to tell people, suggest or advise people who are still
First
fighting
thing
this
is,
battle?
first thing is never give up hope. Even till the last moment, never give up hope. The caregiver will be having a lot more difficulties. They will have different types of difficulties, and the person who is undergoing will have a different type of difficulty. But first thing is, you should never give up hope. Always think positive. I know it's very difficult at that point. So, out of the 10 negative thoughts, if you can just have one positive thought, good enough. And always tell yourself that you can go through it. It's a phase. It'll be gone. So when you can tell yourself it's a phase, then you'll only wait for that phase to end. If you start telling yourself it's going to be there forever, then it's going to be there forever. So you should always tell yourself that it's a phase. You may be having a lot of problems. I'm not saying that no, you're not going to be having problems. But if they're only treated as a problem and not as the whole thing for you, that is when you will be able to really go through it and get better much quicker than otherwise.
I just want to say that you are very brave, and I don't know how do you manage it. Like, not you're going through it, you went through it, and you still have some issues, but you're just like, okay, let it be. I'll do my thing. So you are extremely brave. I really appreciate it. You're amazing.
Thank you. Thank you.
Because
Thank you
seriously,
all.
like keeping it aside and living your life is very hard, but you are doing it so well.
Thank you.
I cannot imagine ever having a problem, like I told you, in my right hand or anything like that. I cannot imagine it. Like, how will I react to it? How will I manage? I'll get so much worried. But seeing you, seriously, you are an inspiration.
Thank you.
So, Vanishri, I just want to thank you from Zenonco.io and Love Heals Cancer for doing this. I am sure a lot of people will get inspired and motivated from it. So, thank you for coming on our platform and thank you for sharing your journey. I wish you have a good life ahead and you do everything that you want to do.
Thank you.